The GOP senator condemns lack of transparency in marijuana rescheduling process. Can you imagine that, Jason? That's crazy, right? A GOP senator is condemning the Biden administration over what he describes as repeated refusals from federal agencies to brief Congress on its plans and justification for rescheduling marijuana, which he argues fuels speculation that the proposed policy change is politically motivated. Because it is. In a letter sent to Attorney General Merrick Garland and U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra. They spelled it wrong. Javier Becerra on Thursday. Senator Bill Cassidy, Republican from Louisiana, says he's very concerned about the supposed lack of transparency and how the agencies arrived at their decision to move cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substances Act. Cassidy, a ranking member of the Senate, can you move this? Thank you. Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, said HHS outright refused to provide a briefing as members of the panel first requested in March, citing only an unspecified internal policy to explain the denial. The agency also hasn't turned over certain documents that were referenced in its rescheduling recommendation, the senator said. The Justice Department, meanwhile, has been non-responsive to 3 requests for a briefing of this matter. That sounds inappropriate. Okay. Your agency's avoidance to help committees attempt to carry out its oversight responsibilities over a matter of critical importance to help public and safety is troubling, the senator said. Refusing to engage with Congress on the merits of this policy furthers the perception. Can you make it bigger? I can't read.
No,
Thank you. You want to read it?
No.
Oh, man.
Do you need me to read it for you?
I do.
Jesus fucking
I'm kidding.
Christ.
I just need it to be there. Go for it.
Cassidy added that while there may be legitimate sensitivities about disclosing information about open enforcement matters, there is no valid reason why agencies cannot brief congressional staff about a publicly available proposed rule.
Federal agencies regularly provided briefings to Congress about proposed rules to give substantive content to relevant committees, Cassidy said. This failure to engage with Congress continues the administration's pattern of ignoring congressional oversight and sends a message that the administration is advancing policies merely for political gain in an election year. Jason, they would never.
They would
never.
They do.
The administration's lack of transparency into the intricacy rescheduling decision is very concerning, the letter continues. Marijuana is the most commonly used federally illegal substance in the United States, with approximately 1/3 of Americans reporting daily use, the highest levels ever reported by the National Institute of Health. The senator also complained that the Drug Enforcement Administration has yet to commit to hold an administrative hearing on the marijuana rescheduling proposal, despite requests from a variety of interested parties, including 19 state attorney generals and 9 former DEA administrators. The public comment period for the proposed rule ends Monday. You guys get your comment in today. It's the last day. This speaks to the continued disregard by the administration to provide clarity around the decision, Cassidy said. Moreover, this proposed rule runs contrary to multiple previous DOJ analysis that concluded that marijuana was appropriately placed in Schedule 1, which is insanity. Moving marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 would have significant implications for public health and safety. This change from long-standing DOJ policy and the uncertainty around the long-term health risks associated with marijuana use further reinforces the need for congressional oversight over this proposal. The letter concludes by requesting a briefing on the rescheduling plan no later than August 1. If the agency refuses, Cassidy is asking that they provide a written justification with citations of any legal requirements that preclude them from doing so. While the senator is criticizing the rescheduling decision, one of the effects of moving marijuana to Schedule 3 would be removing research barriers that are imposed on Schedule 1 drugs, an issue he evidently cares about given his sponsorship of a bill in 2021 that sought to make it easier for scientists to study those more strictly controlled substances. Meanwhile, a group representing state-level cannabis regulators recently called on the Biden administration and DEA Administrator Ann Milgram to provide a clear explanation of how rescheduling marijuana would affect federal federal enforcement priorities and the government's interaction with jurisdictions that regulate cannabis products. At the Republican National Committee convention this week, multiple GOP lawmakers spoke with Marijuana Moment about their views on cannabis policy issues such as rescheduling could be impacted if former President Donald Trump wins this November election, which he will. Trump 2024. They generally deferred to the nominee, but there were mixed opinions about what they would like to see happen. Also, bipartisan congressional lawmakers are now seeking to remove a controversial section of the spending bill that would block the Justice Department from rescheduling marijuana. One of several cannabis and psychedelics-related amendments to appropriations legislation that have been filed in recent days. GOP senators have separately tried to block the administration from rescheduling cannabis as part of a standalone bill filed last September, but that proposal has not yet.
I don't know what you're doing.
I don't either. I need a teleprompter. Me and Trump dog both need teleprompters. At an intersection, wait, Jason, this is not even my story, bud.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
There you go.
Go down. Thank you. Has not yet received a hearing or a vote. You guys, it's a Monday, and I'm struggling. God bless me. We are now at the end of the story, but, I'm glad that Rico's not here because he would make fun of me, but I miss him.
Don't worry, I'll send him the clip.
Good, let's do that. Let's do that. Listen, I don't think that any of this matters because obviously it's not going to go through. It is definitely a political stunt. Jason, do you disagree?
100% political stunt.
100%.
All the way.
100%. But I also find it really, really interesting that they're saying that they can't tell them what's going on or cite their reasoning because they have policies that they also can't cite for the reason to not give a little clarity.
Yeah, they have policies that they can't reveal that probably don't exist, which are just basically more excuses of why they can't do their job. I feel like all these people should just go and work for the DCC in Massachusetts.
I love you guys too. Thanks so much for even when that's great.
Yarrow, you have any thoughts on this, Yarrow?
Not really.
No? All right. Fair enough. Fair enough, Yarrow. Any thoughts on this, Brandon?
Like you said, just a stunt. I'm all with you. But having Yarrow not say a single word caught me a little off guard.
That's confusing as shit. And I will tell you guys what caught me off guard because right in the middle of my story where it was cut and pasted was clearly an ad or a clickbait to another story that said CBD is the cure for the crack epidemic. So I'm sorry, that completely threw me the fuck off because what?
CBD is the cure for the crack epidemic. You haven't heard that yet?
What the? It was very confusing in the middle of my very bipartisan story.
Very.
I mean, I feel bad for not having more comments. So I guess if I had to have a comment, what I would say is that if the legislative branch is complaining about a lack of transparency from the executive branch, 9 out of 10 times that's probably accurate. However, I think the context for this is that they're seeking transparency on the internal deliberations so that they can use that to pick apart the decision. And so to me, it's a pretty transparent attempt to cry foul over a process that's probably the way in which that agency has done business in the past. And so my question is always to sort of go, okay, well, has this particular senator complained about a lack of transparency from this agency in the past, or is it now topic specific? Because if they haven't been banging the drum around a lack of transparency before, it makes me question why they're doing it now.
I mean, I think that they just gave the Whoopi Goldberg response to Jason Beck. They're like, we'll tell you when everybody gets here.